Okay, thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. This is actually a case that happened night before last into yesterday, and our investigators were working it all day yesterday. We wanted to highlight it for several reasons. Look, you can see the firepower and the variety of drugs that we've got, but what started all this out was the shooting of a 16-year-old young man. That's what brought our attention to this case, and it ended up in all of this, and of course I'll elaborate details-wise. But additionally, we wanted to go back in time over the last couple of years to show you what this shooting in particular has in common with several other shootings that we've handled over the years. So night before last, at a little after 2 a.m., we received a call to the 400 block of Bluegrass Creek over off Potranco and 1604 area for a report of a shooting. When we responded, we found that a 16-year-old male had been shot, wounded. It was non-life-threatening injuries, but he was wounded. And then as the stories kind of began to unravel, we found out that this young man had been involved in the drug trade. It appeared that he had met with somebody or was in the process of meeting with somebody to sell THC vapes, when it appeared that for whatever reason, it may have been a robbery, an intent to rob him. Weapons were produced by an actor or actors in the other vehicle, and the young man was shot. After the fact, we started getting into the residence itself, and we found all of these weapons along with this variety of drugs, and I'll do my best to talk you through what the drugs are, but I also wanted to show you 2 arrests that we made that happened to be relatives of the young man that was shot. So this is 18-year-old Dakota Henry. He's being charged, or he was charged with manufacture, delivery of controlled substance penalty group 2, and then tampering with identification numbers, because one of the weapons that was found to be in his possession in this young man's room actually has obliterated serial numbers. So we're looking to see if that is possibly a stolen weapon, or why those numbers were tampered with. The next slide. This is actually Elliot Henry, 42 years of age. I believe he's the biological father of Dakota and of our 16-year-old shooting victim. Now Henry, he's charged with manufacture, delivery, penalty, controlled substance penalty group 2, manufacture, delivery, same charge, over 400 grams, and then possession of marijuana, 5 pounds to 50 pounds should be the charge. To hear him tell it, he knew that this young man was engaged in the drug trade and selling out of the house. That young man's involvement in the drug trade is ultimately what led to him being shot. And so quite frankly, Mr. Henry knowingly allowed his child to be involved in this high-risk lifestyle that ultimately got the young man shot. Thankfully, he survived. But we did want to point out that this is part of a disturbing trend that we have seen unfolding over the course of the past several years. We kind of went back as far as 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, up to this year, and we've actually seen a trend in that many of our drug-related shootings, you hear them quite frequently mentioned as drug deals gone bad, have involved either misdemeanor marijuana or products like these. So, the stuff that you see in movies of, shootouts with a trunk full of cocaine and heroin, that's not necessarily the case. Most of the times that we've seen drug-related shootings, it involves misdemeanor marijuana, just like what you're seeing here, much less than what you're seeing here, and then these vape cartridges that you're seeing. The ages on these victims in these various shootings: 14-year-old male, 20-year-old male, 15-year-old male, 31-year-old male, 15, 17-year-old male. In one instance, this victim survived a 2022 shooting. He was 12 years old, and in the process of it appeared trying to purchase these utilizing counterfeit money, and in the process was himself shot and wounded. Thankfully, that young man survived his wounds. But again, it's just a disturbing trend that we've seen. The fact that these products, and I'll talk you through what they are here shortly. These products are absolutely, in some of these instances, they are cannabinoids or cannabis in name only. It's made to look, it's an herb that looks like marijuana, but then it's sprayed with chemicals that may give you some effects. And so really there's nothing marijuana about it. It's just some chemicals that God knows who's spraying what on them, but it's meant to give you some sort of effect. In some instances, our deputies have come into contact with these people that literally look like zombies because of the effects of these chemicals that they're ingesting. But what we're seeing here is, of course, we have about 4,000 grams of marijuana here. High grade, we believe this is high grade, hydroponic type marijuana. Vape pens, which are these here. These, happen to be all the rage among the younger set. These are THC vapes, which of course are illegal in the state of Texas, but nonetheless they can get their hands on them. And I think looking at the packaging on a lot of these packages, I think the argument could easily be made that these are marketed toward young people. Why else would you put these colorful bubble type letters and colorful packaging unless you're marketing it toward young people? There's also THC oils in here that you're seeing. These are in the form of like a syringe almost. One of the narcotics investigators that was here described to me that many times they'll take the oil out of these syringes and inject it directly into a bong and then smoke it from there. There's also wax. You see this little black box here with a white, looks like face cream or hand cream, but it's actually THC wax in there. Liquid THC, spice, which is the substance that I described to you earlier. So all forms of THC people can ingest. To the untrained eye, there's a bag over here with purple and green tubes in it that easily, to the untrained eye, a parent that's being a heads-up parent and looking through a backpack as they should, looking through their child's backpack, that could look like markers or something innocent, innocuous that could be in one of these young kids' backpacks. Again, that's why it's important for parents to be up to speed on what these things look like and the effects. Now, with that being said, the effects on these things, this is not the potency that we're seeing in these THC vape cartridges. This is not like the effects of marijuana. Okay, this is much stronger in potency. So the effects that you may receive from just smoking marijuana, which is bad enough as it is going to be intensified by smoking these products here. But again, in my opinion, having seen this, and we can certainly share these case numbers with you on these different shootings, in my opinion, the scarier thing about this stuff is not necessarily the potency or the strength, which is it's certainly higher. The scary thing about this is what kids are willing to do to each other over this stuff. Again, we're seeing these shootings occur over and over and over again. And at some point, it's just got to stop, and it's going to have to stop. Parents are going to have to realize what's going on with their youngsters and put a stop to it in a way that they're able to. Esta tarde nosotros estamos dando más información tocante un caso que pasó antenoche. Aproximadamente a las 2 de la mañana nosotros recibimos una llamada en 400 Bluegrass Creek en el oeste del condado por un reporte de un joven que sufrió un balazo, cuando menos un balazo. Se aparenta que el joven, ya cuando empezamos a fijarnos en la historia, se aparenta que el joven de 16 años de edad se encontró con alguien para venderle este producto aquí, vapes o pens de THC que contienen el ingrediente de marihuana. Él se encontró con estas personas para vendérselos esta sustancia y desafortunadamente alguien dentro un carro le disparó hacia al joven y la víctima sí sufrió heridas, sufrió balazos. Ya cuando entramos a la casa nosotros descubrimos todas estas armas y todos estos productos. Los dos sospechosos que fueron arrestados son el hermano de él y también este hombre que es el padre del joven de 16 que sufrió las heridas. El padre supo que su hijo estaba involucrado en vender drogas, pero aunque lo dejó hacerlo y desafortunadamente el joven sufrió heridas a causa de esas actividades. Afortunadamente no falleció a causa de sus heridas, pero sí es algo bien serio. El hermano y el padre, los dos se enfrentaron con cargos. Ahorita el joven que sufrió las heridas no está enfrentándose con cargos, pero sí es posible que se vaya a enfrentar con cargos más después. Estos productos, nosotros nos hemos fijado, mi unidad de homicidio han estado trabajando en varios incidentes hace varios años donde nosotros vemos que gente los matan, jóvenes, muchas veces jóvenes los matan tocante a estas drogas de THC o marihuana. Nosotros contamos cuando menos 6, 7 casos donde un joven intentando de vender o comprar estos productos sufre heridas a las manos de las otras personas. Entonces, para nosotros, para mí, en mi opinión, lo que más nos molesta de estas drogas no son solamente que son más poderosas por los efectos, es lo que los jóvenes estos están dispuestos a hacerse uno al otro a causa de estas drogas. Ya hemos visto, aquí tenemos 6 casos donde alguien falleció, gente entre las edades de 14, 15, 17, 31 años de edad, 20 años de edad, pero también un incidente donde en este caso, afortunadamente, la víctima sobrevivió sus heridas, pero es un joven de 12 años de edad que él intentó de comprar este producto a alguien, pero usó dinero falso y esa persona lo balacearon al joven. Sobrevivió sus heridas, pero era algo que simplemente lo podía haber matado. Entonces nosotros queremos darles a saber a los padres cómo se ven estos productos, qué son los efectos de estos productos y que estén al tanto de lo que estén haciendo sus jóvenes para prevenir una tragedia como las que hemos visto. Any questions?
Dijiste que estaban pintados o laced con algo que no son químicos y que se mira como
Sí, uno de estos productos no lo podemos abrir porque está en una bolsa de plástico, pero parece marihuana. No sé qué va a ser una hierba que muchas veces le ponen químicas para dar ciertos efectos. Esos efectos, porque pueden usar cualquier química, no sé realmente decirle van a ser estos efectos o esos efectos porque no se sabe cuáles químicas están usando. Pero sí mis oficiales me han dicho que han visto las personas que están usando estas cosas que parecen zombies, que ni pueden pararse por los efectos que han pasado. Entonces les queremos dar a saber a todo el público los peligros que tienen estos productos.
THC is a big conversation right now at the state level.
Sure.
We've heard sheriffs in support of the ban, against the ban. Where do you stand when it comes to THC products?
Look, I'm the first one to tell you that marijuana in and of itself, I don't think is going to necessarily kill anybody. Is it a gateway to other drugs? Yeah, absolutely. I think it can be. But again, with regard to these things here, the effects of it is almost secondary to me. The scary thing about this is what these young people are willing and able to, like, they'll kill another 15-year-old kid, 14-year-old kid over this stuff, and at some point it's just got to stop. So whether the drug itself is the worst thing in the world, that's debatable. What they're willing to do to each other is what really scares me.
When you were listing off all those names, so many teenagers, why do you think these younger ages is the trend right now?
Look, I don't know. I wish I knew. I mean, if I did, we'd be able to solve this a lot quicker. I just think they're young. They feel like it's this glamorous life to be involved in the drug trade. They feel powerful because there's weapons involved, and they got this false sense of bravado that, oh, I've got a gun, I can handle it. In at least one of these instances, we believe that that's what occurred, is the young man came out, he was armed, and never dreamed that the other person was also armed. In one of these instances, I believe the young man, the gun that he had on him was actually a BB gun or a pellet gun, but unfortunately for him, the other person had a real gun, and he paid for it with his life. That was a heartbreaking case. So well, they're all heartbreaking cases, right, obviously, but in that instance, the parents thought he was asleep in the back bedroom, when in reality he'd snuck out a back window, snuck around the green belt, and then lost his life about a block away from his house because he was involved in this. And my understanding is that's actually a pretty affluent neighborhood where, you know, most folks wouldn't think that these things are occurring, but this kind of stuff knows no geographical boundaries. I mean, look, this area where this stuff was found, this is not a bad neighborhood. This is actually I'd venture to say the houses in that neighborhood are easily $250,000, $300,000 homes, and look at all the stuff that was in there. So I don't care where you live or what kind of money you're making. If you got young people, they're susceptible to this stuff, and we have to know how to prevent it.
Sheriff, toda esta droga y todas estas armas estaban en una sola casa.
Todo esto estaba en una casa, la casa de este hombre aquí.
Y este hombre tiene historial criminal.
Criminal history on this gentleman? No criminal history. No criminal history on this gentleman here. No tiene historia criminal este hombre, pero todas estas drogas estaban en la casa de él, pero él ya bien se sabe que él está involucrado en este negocio, pero no nomás eso, él estaba dejando sus hijos estar en este negocio también.
¿Y cómo tus investigadores llegaron con él si no tiene historial criminal?
Bueno, porque el joven ya cuando le dieron balazos, él entró a la casa, entonces esa casa era parte de la escena de los hechos. Sabíamos que había evidencia dentro de la casa, pero el del tiroteo, de los balazos, no sabíamos que íbamos a encontrar todo esto. Ya cuando empezamos a sacar la historia, ya entonces entramos a la casa con orden de cateo y nos fijamos en todo lo que tenían.
Otra cosa, apenas ayer estuve en la frontera, CBP, HSI were at the border, ¿verdad? Y estaban hablando sobre las armas que pasan y que están confiscando ellos tratando de tener supuestamente armas que van a México.
Sí,
Todas estas armas son muchas para una sola persona.
sí.
¿Tú crees que se puede rastrear que estas armas a lo mejor pueden parar en otra parte?
Bueno, ahorita no tenemos evidencia que estas armas iban para allá, pero uno se puede imaginar que estas armas pueden quedar en cualquier parte. Ya sabemos que las armas van para allá y las drogas vienen para acá, dinero va para allá, más drogas vienen para acá, traficando de seres humanos vienen para acá. Entonces todo trabaja junto, porque son las mismas organizaciones que están en todos estos negocios. Entonces es posible que estas armas, aunque no tenemos información a eso ahorita, pero sí es posible. You wanted me to say something in English, and I'm sure. Oh, all of this came from within one residence. So what took us to that residence was the fact that the young man lived there, the 16-year-old victim that was shot. He ran into the home, so we knew that home was part of the crime scene. And what we were there looking for was evidence associated with the shooting of a 16-year-old. Little did we know it was going to open a Pandora's box of all these weapons and drugs once we got into that residence, but it's exactly what we found. We've got pictures that we could probably share from within the house, whether they're on this or not, but literally, they had it pretty organized inside the house. Those are inside a house. It looks like a retail establishment with shelves with products, and that's inside this house. So, I mean, there's really no way, thankfully we were able to determine that this guy was involved in this, but there's no way a parent could say, oh, I didn't know nothing about it. Your house is set up like a drugstore. Okay, so this video that we're going to show you here is what we're going to be asking for help with. This is the suspected shooter. All we can tell you is it's probably a dark blue or teal colored car of some sort. We're asking anybody with any information on who this shooter might be. If you're looking for a reward, you can call 210-224-STOP. That's the Crime Stoppers line. Or if you just want to call it into the sheriff's office and let us know anonymously who it is that you believe it is that was involved in the shooting of this 16-year-old, you can call us at 210-335-6000. You can also send us email tips at bcsotips@bear.org. Ese video que nosotros le enseñamos y que vamos a mandar a sus oficinas es el carro de los sospechosos. Nosotros solamente sabemos que es un carro chiquillo, azul o oscuro, pero no se sabe la marca. Nosotros les estamos pidiendo al público, si tienen información, que por favor nos hablen. Si quieren recompensa, pueden llamar a Crime Stoppers al 210-224-STOP. O si solamente quieren darle información y ser anónimos, nos pueden llamar a cualquier hora, 210-335-6000, o también nos pueden mandar email bcsotips@bear.org.
So, una balacera se convirtió también en un decomiso de armas y drogas.
Sí, la víctima sufrió heridas. Todo esto fue en la casa de esa víctima. Ya entrando, nos dimos cuenta de lo que estaba haciendo el joven a la hora que la balacearon, pero también en qué estaba involucrado su papá y el hermano de la víctima.
Entonces, el hombre y el hermano están arrestados ahorita.
Sí, ellos dos se enfrentaron con esos cargos ayer. Nosotros estábamos trabajando en este caso hasta anoche y por eso les estamos pidiendo al público ayuda con identificar los sospechosos, pero también darles a saber el aviso que son los peligros de estas drogas. Yes, sir.
This is a huge bust and a good win for Bear County.
Absolutely it is.
What does that say on the far west side? Is more huge crime like this? Should we see more crime? I'm seeing
Well,
going down.
look, I don't think that it's necessarily a matter of west side, east side, north side, south side. I think it's just all of our problem at any given time. And to me, again, it doesn't matter if you're surrounded by $500,000 homes, $1 million homes, or you live in a cardboard box in an alley. This stuff is everywhere, and you can't necessarily get away from it. All we can do is let people know, hey, this stuff exists, it's out there, this is what it looks like, and if you've got young people, this could be your problem, right? Whether you know it or not. So we've all just got to be aware of what it is, what we can do, how we can look for it, and just hope to protect the young ones that we love.
What do you ask from residents everywhere?
Well, what I ask for residents is to educate your kids that, look, what you may think is just a harmless high could be something that somebody sprays with a household chemical, and it's not just going to give you a high, it's going to kill you. But additionally, you may just, if you're a young 14-year-old or 16-year-old that hasn't thought it through, well, you may be dealing with another 14 or 16-year-old that hasn't thought it through, and they're going to kill you over this stuff. So it's important that people understand that.
Would you say this was a stash house of some kind?
I think it was certainly, there was a stash there, but it was, to me, this was a retail establishment for a drug trade. Quite simply, hidden among, a neighborhood that, to the untrained eye, it looked just like another house on the block. But unfortunately for the neighbors around this guy, he was clearly up to something else.
What happens to the 16-year-old? I mean, non-life-threatening injuries, obviously a victim to the shooting.
Sure.
Will he face repercussions?
Well, certainly it's at a certain point that young man may face charges in connection with this. But, now we're in the process of getting Child Protective Services involved because we have an adult that's knowingly allowing his 16-year-old to engage in the drug trade and we don't even have to go very far to show that this endangered him. He got shot in the process of, learning it from his dad by the looks of it. So there's a whole lot that's happening in the background. Like I said, we're going to be working with the state on this, and hopefully we're able to find who the shooters are. But at this point, we just want to make sure that the young man's okay.
You said shooters. Do you think what was suspect?
Shooter or shooters. The young man described several people there. Wasn't able to give a detailed description of them at this point, but we believe that there's at least several people in that car.
If you could put a dollar amount on this bust,
Um,
it would be $100,000.
if we had to guesstimate it, $150,000 easily in what we're looking at here. So we appreciate y'all joining us today. As this case develops, and certainly if we're blessed enough to make some arrests on it, we'll certainly be sharing that with y'all as well.
Chief, are officers in the streets still dealing with the fentanyl exposure? Remember during the COVID era,
Sure.
we were dealing with like an exposure of officers that were getting transported to the hospital, they were feeling lightheaded. Is that still an issue?
Sure, absolutely. Fentanyl is still an issue. We actually do a class here. I say we, I actually teach a class for the community on the dangers of fentanyl. It's called One Pill Can Kill. And it talks about how, we typically find fentanyl on the streets here in Bexar County is in the form of counterfeit pills. That One Pill Can Kill presentation was produced. It's us putting it on, but it's actually DEA information that was shared with us. And we do this presentation. If somebody wants to host a presentation of One Pill Can Kill, they can actually email us to the email address onepill@bear.org, ONEPILL@bear.org. And in that presentation, we do also cover a bit of, although the main focus of it is fentanyl and pills, counterfeit pills, we do cover a bit having to do with these vapes as well. Okay, thank y'all so much.